Hey everyone, so let's talk about Singapore's public housing market. For years, it's been a one-way street. Prices just kept climbing and climbing. But now, well, something's changing. We're seeing a massive shift. And today, we're going to break down exactly what's going on.
So let's just cut right to the chase, shall we? The question on everyone's mind is pretty simple. After years of prices soaring into the stratosphere, is the HDB resale party finally over? That's exactly what we're going to dig into.
Okay, to really get what's happening now, we need to rewind just a little bit. Think back to 2024. Resale prices shot up by a whopping 9.7%. I mean, it felt like the market was a rocket ship that only knew how to go in one direction, up.
And then 2025 happened. That rocket ship, it didn't just slow down, it pretty much stalled out. Full-year price growth crashed down to just 2.9%. We're not talking about a gentle cool down here. This was like someone slamming on the brakes. Hard. I mean, just look at that drop, from almost 10% down to less than 3%. That's less than a third of the growth from the year before. In fact, this is the slowest we've seen prices climb since all the way back in 2019. So what on earth happened? So what's causing this cool down? This isn't just a fluke, you know? There are some really big forces at work here, changing the whole game of supply and demand. And it really all starts with supply. Okay, so the main driver behind this whole slowdown is a huge, and I mean huge, increase in supply. All of a sudden, buyers have a ton of options. You've got more BTOs, a bumper crop of sale of balance flats, but the real game changer? It's the flood of flats that are just now becoming available for resale. And this is all tied to a key term you need to know, the MOP, or minimum occupation period. Basically, you have to live in your HDB for 5 years before you're allowed to sell it. So what happens when a whole bunch of flats hit that 5-year mark all at once? Well, you get an explosion in the supply of really nice, newer resale units hitting the market. And when I say explosion, I am not kidding. Get this. In 2026, we're expecting around 13,500 flats to reach their MOP. That's almost double the number from 2025. All these fresh, attractive flats hitting the market at once, it completely shifts the power dynamic. Suddenly, buyers have a lot more leverage. Okay, but hold on. Right in the middle of this big cool down, something weird is happening. There's one small part of the market that's not just warm, it's red hot. It's a total paradox, and it's got a lot of people scratching their heads. So on the one hand, you had the overall market going kind of quiet. Prices were flat last quarter, and the number of sales for the whole year dropped by almost 10%. But then you look at the million-dollar flats, and that market is absolutely on fire. Sales jumped by over 50% last year, hitting a brand new record. It's wild. So you're probably wondering, how is that even possible? Well, you've got to remember, these million-dollar flats, they make all the headlines, but there's still a pretty small slice of the overall market. Less than 7% of sales recently. But it's a niche that's growing like crazy, all because people are willing to pay top dollar for the best of the best, newer, bigger flats in amazing locations. It's really a tale of two different markets playing out at the same time. All right, so with all these mixed signals, the main market cooling down while the top end is booming, what happens next? What are the experts saying about 2026? Well, the good news is nobody's really predicting a crash. The general feeling is stability. This quote from Christine Sun really sums it up. Most analysts are looking at slow, steady growth, maybe 2 to 4%. So pretty much the same as 2025, and definitely not the crazy growth we've seen in the past. And you know what? This new stability isn't some accident. It's actually the whole point. The government has made it super clear that their goal is for HDB prices to grow at about the same pace as people's salaries. So that whole era of prices shooting through the roof, yeah, that's likely over. And it's over on purpose, all to keep housing affordable. But here's the twist. While stable prices are awesome for anyone trying to buy their first flat, it creates a tricky situation for anyone who already owns an HDB and is hoping to upgrade to, say, a private condo. This is what people call the upgrader's dilemma. And look, this isn't just some hypothetical problem. It has happened before. If you look at the years between 2013 and 2020, HDB resale prices actually dropped by 10%. But during that same time, private condo prices went up by over 24%. When that gap between the two gets wider and wider, that dream of upgrading becomes a lot more difficult. So that leads us to the final, really important question for anyone in that position. In this new world of stable HDB prices, but where private property might just keep climbing, is the biggest risk you can take, well, just waiting too long to make your move? That's the million-dollar question, no pun intended, that a lot of people in Singapore are going to have to answer for themselves.